Good evening, everyone who has joined from India, and good afternoon and good morning to those who has joined us from different part from the world. Uh, this is in the series of webinars we are doing to create awareness on Lean Six Sigma concepts. In the last webinar, we have covered overview of control chart, which has been given by Mr. Radhakrishnan Balagopal, who is a lead consultant with Capgemini. You can view the recording of this webinar under LASSIB.org webinar section. Now today's webinar is on Kano analysis, which is given by Mr. Upendra Kartik, CEO of Saudi Harmony. I will tell you more about his profile in the later on. Okay, Kartik, can you move on to the next slide? Before we move on to the presentation, we will take you to some of the ground rules of this webinar. The total duration of this webinar will be of 45 minutes, in which 30 minutes will be of presentation and 15 minutes of question and answer. You can post your question on the webinar chat box, which is on your right hand side, and the question will be answered to you at the end of the webinar. The video of this now will be available at the link which is showing on your screen, and the presentation of this webinar will be downloaded for only for our professional member and corporate members only. In case of any problem, you can contact me. My name is Mr. Varun Khare, and you can contact me through email ID, or you can contact me through the phone number which is showing on your screen. Now I would like to introduce the presenter for this webinar. Mr. Upendra Kartik is the Chief Executive Officer at Saudi Harmony. He is an expert management consultant, having worked with organizations like Wipro and Max New York Life Insurance. He is a Six Sigma Master Black Belt from Lean and Six Sigma International Board and Lean Six Sigma Black Belt from Motorola USA. Upendra Kartik is a professional trainer and executive mentor. He coached more than 450 participants around the globe in many international forums from different industries like oil and natural gas, electronics and semiconductor, telecom, banking, insurance, information technology, printing, tourism, education and health. His main area of interest includes Six Sigma, Lean, business analysis, value stream mapping, Kaizen, 5S, Lean Manufacturing, FMEA, ISO, Process Engineering, CPOC, VOC, DMAC, Operation Excellence, Quality Management, Process Excellence, Continuous Improvement, TQM, Business Process Improvement, SPC, Process Mapping, Kanban, Balance Scorecard, Root Cause Analysis, Minitab, Business Management, Cost Reduction, Program Management, Business Process Excellence Status, and so on and so forth. Kartik, can you move on to the next slide? Now, I just want to give you a brief introduction of LASSIB. Lean and Six Sigma International Board is a not-for-profit society in the area of Lean and Six Sigma and business excellence. It was conceptualized in 2009 and came into existence in 2010, and it was registered in 2011. Why we are here? Because Lean and Six Sigma concept applies to every industry, whether it is your manufacturing, software, even in your daily life. And we are here to create the awareness of Lean Six Sigma concept through our webinars, and this is just a small step through to get into to create the awareness of Lean Six Sigma and share learnings for the community at large by through our best-in-class knowledge base, and which you can download it for free. You just need to complete a small registration process, and then you can download all the material free of cost. Kartik, can you move on to the next slide? And we are very proud to say that in the just span of 1.5 years, we have touched the lives of over 10,000 professionals from over 40 plus countries. Okay, Kartik, can you move on to the next slide? Now, I would like to hand over to Mr. Kartik to start the presentation. Kartik, over to you.
Hello. Thanks, Varun. Thanks a lot for the nice introduction. By the way, am I audible? Hello, Varun. Am I audible?
Yes, Kartik, we can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Good morning. Good evening, everyone, and thanks a lot for staying with me this presentation. I know that this is a semi-final match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and it's just started, and the score is 34-0. But again, if we got a timing between 7:30 to 8, so we cannot avoid this webinar. So I thought I will take this some of your time from your life and discuss what is Kano and go on. So if you have any concerns regarding the audibility or any other things, please mail Varun. He will let me know. And today we are going to discuss what is Kano and the basics of the Kano model or a Kano analysis. Let me put it very clearly. Let me put the context very clearly here, saying that today we are going to discuss the 5 Y's and 1 H of Kano, because Kano itself is a very big theory that I cannot just give you in 30 minutes or precisely 25 minutes. So let me take you through the overall Kano analysis or Kano model. I feel most of you people might be quality professionals or might have already gone through Kano analysis in having a deep dive into it. But this webinar is going to address the basics of Kano. So let me put it short. What we are going to have in this presentation is like who is the Kano and when the Kano model was invented, why is the Kano model important, and how to perform the Kano analysis, and where is the Kano analysis used, and what are the benefits of Kano model, and the real life example that I have used in my life. So the main interest or the main reason being in a holiday, I thought I will come and join this Kano analysis is I used Kano analysis some 10 years back in 2002, where my association with quality got when I was in the program. So I thought let me start with this, and so let me share my experiences, how I got benefited through Kano. So all the people who are attending would also start using Kano and get some benefits out of it. Let me start with the basic question, who is a Kano or what is a Kano? Kano is nothing but is a gentleman named Noriaki Kano, who born in 1940 in Tokyo, Japan, and he's a professor in Tokyo Rikia University, and he's an international consultant. And the best thing is he received the Deming Prize in 1907, which is the highest honor that any quality professional can get in his life. So Kano is still there, and fortunately I met this gentleman in one of the conferences. I should say that this Kano is most of the time the feedback we take from the customers is a diagnosis. Like once we launch a product, then we start going and taking the feedback, how is this feature or how is this product and what should we build. But Kano analysis is a prognosis tool where you can go to the customer before you launch a product or before you think of creating a product, and you can take the customer requirements, convert them into your product specifications or process specifications or service specifications, and put them and create a product which is actually a customer desirable product or a process or maybe a service. So coming to the next slide, when the Kano model was invented, it was invented in 1984 when he was associated with the university, and it says it's a complete new customer satisfaction model. Like most of the time, the customer satisfaction, as I told you, that once we launch the product, we start going on finding out what we could do better, or what are all these features that we can include, and so on and so forth. But here, you can do all these things in advance and identify the requirements of the customer before you actually launch a product. And the reason why it was invented was to actually give the manufacturing a boost. So at the time, the manufacturing of automobiles was very fast growing, and a lot of revolutionary things happening. And so instead of the manufacturers or the designers, R&D people who are actually involved in the process thinking about the customer, instead of that, the Kano thought, let the customer say from his mouth that these are his requirements. That is the main reason why the model of Kano was invented. And let me go to the next slide, that how to perform a Kano analysis, which is the most important. And it looks very simple, but at the same time it is complex. It's complex because it's very vast, because you cannot just say meet two customers and say, hey, I found all the customer requirements. No, we have to conduct it at least with 30 to say 50, depending upon the geography, depending upon the product or the service that you're offering. But if it is a manufacturing product and taking the different geographies, you need to conduct the analysis. So this process consists of 4 simple steps, like develop a questionnaire, which is the key or the most important part of the Kano analysis. I will discuss about the questionnaire in the coming slides. And to test the questionnaire, this is most important, because how to create a questionnaire is the most important thing. I have also an example associated with this, so I will also discuss this, how to test your questionnaire, or are you framing the right questions which are required, which can be converted into your technical specifications. And then you have to administer, you have to send it across to the customers. My personal suggestion which I have got is you go to the customer or send your representative to the customer and ask him personally these questions, because that is most important. If you send it to the customer, the perception of the customer might be different, so you may get a different results. So a person who is proficient in doing the Kano analysis should go to the customer, identify the customer, and then he has to speak to him and identify or capture the requirements. So then you can get the exact results. And then once you get the customer requirements, then you need to analyze the results, and then you can go on starting converting them into the customer specifications or technical specifications. So this is the basic model, this is the basic process how you conduct a Kano analysis. But you may be having a lot many questions now in your mind if you don't know about Kano. So what is this Kano analysis? How can customers say our technical specifications, and how can we use them? How can an R&D engineer can know what customer is speaking and convert and make it a product according to his specifications or his requirements? So let me take to the coming slide, so it will be very easy to understand for you. So this is the Kano questionnaire, or Kano questionnaire, which is specially designed for Kano analysis. You have 2 types of questions. One is a functional question or a dysfunctional question. Or let me put it in a simple terms, like a functional question is a positive question and dysfunctional question is a negative question. And you have a specific answers, like I like it that way, it must be that way, I am neutral, and I can leave it that way, I dislike it that way. So these are the standard answers for both positive and negative or functional and dysfunctional questions. So like I took a very simple example. Generally we use phones. Most of them are using smartphones these days. So I thought, let me put an example which relates to that smartphone. So if the phone can support a 3-day backup, how will you feel? Will be the positive question, right? Most of the people suffer from low backup. It will give only a half day, or it will maximum will give you a day with a smartphone. So I am saying, if I want to create a new product which will give you a longer backup, I say, hey, I got a phone which can give you a backup of 3 days. So how do you feel? Then the customer choose his response, like I like it that way, or it must be that way, I am neutral, or I can leave it that way, or I dislike that way. So at the same time, I ask a negative question for the same specification, saying that, hey, I have a phone that can support you only for 1 day. Or how do you feel with the backup of the phone that you are having now, which will support you for 1 day? So then the answers are same. Again, I like it that way. It must be that way. I am neutral. I can leave it that way. I dislike that way. So you prepare a questionnaire of something like this, or the size of the screen. If you have a size of the screen is 5 inches, how do you feel? How do you feel if you have a size of the screen is smaller or around some 3.5 inches? Again, you have all the set of questions, the responses for the same questions. So you can prepare a list of all the questions that come, again, functional and dysfunctional, or positive and negative questions that are put into the responses. And once you capture that, you need to understand there are 5 different customer requirements. You may be surprised why I have put only 5 when there are 6, because the top 5 starting from attractive, must be, one-dimensional, indifferent, and reverse are important, whereas questionable results are something which we need to ask the customer again or provoke him to get into a right answer. So coming to the what are all the different responses that you may get once you ask this question are classified into these 5 major categories. Like there could be an attractive requirement from a customer. There could be a must-be requirement from a customer. There could be a one-dimensional requirement from the customer. There are indifferent requirements from the customer and a reverse requirements from the customer. So these are not expressed by the customer saying that, hey, these are attractive requirements from me, these are the must-be requirements for me. That is the best part of Kano analysis. Customer will not decide what is attractive for him. We will decide with a statistical analysis. We will do some analysis and then we will conclude, oh, this is the attractive requirement for the customer based on some theories and formulas. And we will just ask him the questions saying that first the positive question and the negative question, and we will just identify the responses. Based on these responses, we'll identify which category of that feature will come into either into the attractive or must be or one-dimensional or indifferent or reverse or questionable. And so let me go to the next slide, which shows a very simple Kano model. It says it's very normal graph. First thing, let me tell you that Kano model is not a graph. This is most important. Most of the people get confused that it is having 4 quadrants and it is having some lines and graphs, and so it looks like a graph, but it is not actually the graph. It is a model. I will say it's a model. So there are 4 quadrants in which you can see a happy smiley face that says it's very satisfied, and you can see exactly opposite to that, you can see a very dissatisfied face. So the top is the better the customer is satisfied, and if it is coming down, it means the customer is dissatisfied. So, and to your left, it says the execution which did not went very well, and execution to your right it did very well. So based on these 4 quadrants, the customer requirements are decided. Say if I say this red arrow which is going up, this is called as you will get this when the customer is delighted. You met his unspoken requirements. The requirements of the customer are divided into 3 groups, whereas spoken requirements are 2 groups basically. One are spoken requirements and unspoken requirements. These are very important to understand because most of the time we take care of only spoken requirements, and unspoken requirements are sometimes taken care and sometimes not. That's the main reason why any product or service fail. So here in the Kano model, he will give you exactly what are all the delighters and what are the basic needs and what are the main features that will keep your product running. So the excitement says that it is their attractive requirements or their delighters of the customers. 15 years back, when no one thought about a TV without a remote, so at that time it might be delighter, right? 15 years back, when the TV itself is a great thing in the homes of an average Indian. So now, today, if I take a TV without a remote, will not be sold because that became the basic requirement. So you can also see a time that is coming down that shows that sometime back, yesterday it was might be an excitement, but today it might be a requirement. So keep that in mind. These are not constant, and the power steering in the car might be an excitement sometime back because it was invented recently and you can just turn your car as per your wish. But today, in a high-end model cars, or at least cars which will be costing around some 4 to 5 lakhs, the power steering is a very common thing. So, or now parking assistance might be a delighter for me if I'm buying a car with 4 to 5 lakh. But after maybe 3 years down the line, it may become a very basic requirement with a car that I am buying with 3 to 4 lakh rupees. So remember that, and if the customer has not spoken about it and you provide it, which is very that gives him very excitement, it is called a delighter. The customer expresses it and you give the particular specification or particular feature in your product or service, then it is you just satisfy him, he is good with it and he is not excited. At the same time, if customer is expecting something and you don't give it, then the basic requirements like car should have doors. So you give him a BMW at a price of 10 lakh and you say, I don't have doors for the car. So that might be a very disappointing thing for the people and your product may not be sold at all. Or you say, I provide you a 3D 51-inch LCD or LED TV, but I don't provide you a remote. You have to go manually and change the channels. Your product cannot be sold even at a good price. So you need to understand what are all the basic requirements, which are also unspoken, right? So this is the basic simple concept of Kano model. But let me explain you what are all the attractive requirements, how do we define them, and what are all the other specifications associated with it. So how to perform a Kano analysis? In that we discuss the attractive requirements. So attractive requirements are neither explicitly expressed or not. The customer will not expect or express these things. So fulfilling these things will give you a greater advantage over the competition, or you can say these are the USPs. BlackBerry some time back was having this kind of a USP of chatting within the group. So that was a USP at that time. So all the senior manager level people used to carry a hi-fi product called BlackBerry. So that was its USP once upon a time. And so if the customers were very delighted, or if you don't give this feature, the customers are okay with it because they never expected that there will be a feature like this. So your parking assistance in India, it may not be a very common thing. So if you give him a parking assistance, it would be a delighter, or it's a very attractive requirement or, for a customer. But the same thing, if you provide in a European countries, it might be a very common feature. So coming back to the one-dimensional requirements, the higher level of fulfillment, it is something like if you try to give these specifications more, or try to put these things, they will be more satisfied. If you are not providing these one-dimensional requirements at all, if you are not completely neglecting these one-dimensional requirements, it will create a lot of customer dissatisfaction. They are most of the times one-dimensional requirements are spoken or given by the customer. They will say, we want this. We want our cell phone to work at least for 1 day without charging. We want our cars to run at least 15 kilometers per liter. So these are the things they will tell to you. You have to keep this in mind, that these are very important. And there are must-be requirements that are like you have to fulfill. If you don't fulfill, your product will not be sold, as simple as that. And my friend Varun Khare is ringing the bell saying that you are left with only 5 minutes, so I may take you a bit fast, but you will understand. There are something called indifferent. The customer is neither satisfied nor dissatisfied while doing this. So this can be like, so most of the times you get a user manual, which is a 200-page user manual. If you, I don't know, 99% of the people will never read the user manual from first page to the last page. So instead of that, we can provide a single page user manual or a very little or a 10-15 page user manual, which is much better compared to a very huge manuals. So these indifferent can be identified and we can use them for cost cutting. And reversed, the products and services, sometimes you provide them, as we know all customers are different. So sometimes these are like, some people like them, some people don't like them. So you need to be very careful while identifying the reversed. And coming to the questionable, like sometimes customers say, hey, if you provide this, if my smartphone can work with a battery backup of 3 days, I like it. And if you say your smartphone will work only for 1 day or a half day, again he says, I like it. So this cannot be, he cannot like or dislike the same feature when it is positive or negative. So there could be an understanding problem, there could be your questioning problem. So you need to either reframe the question or make him understand better so that he can give you a proper response that comes into the above mentioned categories. So this is a complete Kano model, or I should say it's a complex Kano model. So here you can see a lot many things that I have already discussed. So I have a quality improvement, I have some must be requirements, these are implied, they will not, customers will not stay. You need to understand, like those for cars or a smartphone should have access to SMS or MMS or some attractive requirements. Yes, you provide a 4G network with it, or you provide some video streaming or a FaceTime or some application with it, which might be an attractive requirement. Or you can give them to change colors or panels of your particular phone. That could be an attractive requirement. And at the same time, there are some spoken requirements which should be done. And you can see there are 2 lines. One is time and one is competitive pressure. Now I do have both because I have a time constraint as well as my work is also behind me, so I also have both. So let me, with the time, your attractive requirements become your must-be requirements. Keep this in mind. And at the same time, your competitive pressure will also drive your normal requirements or must-be requirements. You have to make them an attractive requirement, or you have to stand with an USP. Sometime back when I was about to start my business, someone told me either you should be the first, or you should be the best, or you should be different. So this Kano model tells us that you should be all 3. So let me go to the next slide, which is a very simple Kano evaluation table. You may ask me, hey boss, now I got a functional question and a dysfunctional question. I have identified the customer responses, but how do I identify to which slot they will come into, like how they come into attractive or must be reverse or one-dimensional or questionable or indifferent. This is the simple table that tells you that. So I have a person said, now let me take a simple example of a smartphone which we were discussing from the. So I say, hey, I got a smartphone which will give you a 3 days backup. Do you like it that way? I say, yeah, I like it that way. So the first thing is I liked it. That means the first one. And in the dysfunctional question, I say, if your smartphone does not have a 3 days backup, I say, I can leave it that way. Okay. So because now I'm getting 1 day with my iPhone, but still I am okay. I'm living with that. So now this becomes one like in functional question and one live with a dysfunctional question. Then it becomes an attractive requirement for me. So if most of the customers, all the 30 customers you have interviewed, majority of them said, yes, this is yeah, I like it and I can live it that way, then you have you have to say that, yeah, this is an attractive requirement. Providing this feature of 3-day backup to a smartphone will obviously add an added advantage. It could be a delighter to the customer. Right. So I'm not going to explain you all this table because it is a self-explanatory table, or you can pose me some questions through Varun, so we can take it up. And this is how you can evaluate the particular analysis, that you can do the analysis and you can identify. I have a simple example which I have kept in the last based on the same thing. And before going to that, how do I calculate the customer extent of satisfaction and extent of dissatisfaction, which is the most important. It is a simple formula that you can put it in an Excel and you can get all the results. that attractive requirements plus one-dimensional requirements divided by attractive plus one-dimensional plus must be plus indifferent can give you extent of satisfaction. And at the same time, one-dimensional plus must be requirements, because we are speaking about the dissatisfaction. So the extent of one-dimensional spoken requirements and must be requirements will give you, divided by the same denominator what we have discussed earlier, into a negative factor of -1 will give you extent of dissatisfaction. So that's the basic thing of Kano analysis. That's the complete story of Kano analysis, or I should say a very abridged version of Kano analysis, because it's a 2-day, 3-day concept. And coming back to where are all the places it can be used, is we can use them in the project selection of Lean and Six Sigma, or design for Six Sigma, or design for customer satisfaction and manufacturability, called as DCAM in short. Or you can do that in a new product development, new service development, or determine the market strategies. So once you start using DFSS, design for Six Sigma, this becomes very, very key for identifying your customer requirements, or identifying your customer priorities while designing a product or a service. So what are all the benefits of a Kano model? They are very simple, like you can identify the value of satisfaction, you can identify the value of dissatisfaction for a specific feature, and you can know whether to keep the feature in a particular product or not. Because most of the times I see a lot many unnecessary features in the smartphones, which we don't require them, but still they are provided because they were being provided from long time. So if someone can do Kano analysis on our smartphones, or even on your mobile operators, or even in your cars, and so on and so forth, we can reduce a lot of cost based on it, and deliver a customer desired product. This is the key, because customers don't want, truly speaking, this is a very volatile, a very dynamic world where I don't have much time of designing a product. So I need to understand the customer requirements first and then design a product so which will exactly suit their requirement, instead of designing the product and then identifying the flaws in the product. Identifying the customer needs, yes, of course, we all know that, and determining the functional requirements of the particular process or a product or a service, and the concept development, and analyzing the competitive products. So these are all the benefits that you get from the Kano analysis. And let me take you to the next slide, which gives a small example which I have already discussed with you. So in this example, now we have you can see the same smartphone example, and you have this things like I like it that way, must be that way, I'm neutral and I can like that way, and I dislike it that way. So you can, all the pluses mean, this is the actual survey I did sometime back in some 10 years back. So, but not for the smartphone, I did it for some other product named UPS, uninterrupted power systems, but I changed UPS to phone for your better understanding. So now I interviewed 11 people in the particular geography. So I understood that there are few people, if it supports a 3-day backup. So the people said, yeah, we like it, and few people said, I am okay, I am neutral, I can leave it that way, and I dislike it that way, and so on and so forth. So now, based on these results, now I have created a small table like this, table of results. Let's say, yeah, sorry, I have not changed the UPS to smartphone and that the product feature. Excuse me for that. And this says that attractive, as I told you, once you know how many people are attractive out of these 11 responses that I got here. These are the 11 people I have interviewed. Out of these 11 responses I got. So out of 11, 8 people said attractive. This is an attractive requirement. One said it is a one-dimensional. 0 said M, and 10 said I. Or 2 people are having a reversible answers, and then the majority says it is a attractive requirement. So I take it as an attractive requirement without any doubt. So now I calculate the extent of satisfaction, I calculate the extent of dissatisfaction. It says if I give this feature, 100% of my customers are satisfied, and if I don't give this feature, only 11% of my customers are dissatisfied. So it is a simple analysis which will give you, if you give this feature, how many people are satisfied, if you don't give this feature, how many people are dissatisfied, and based on which you can start deriving the customer specification. Yes, this is, my friends, that this is where I would like to end my discussion. Sorry, I might have took a longer time, but I thought let me complete it, and this may give you a better idea. Thanks a lot. Over to you.
Thanks, Upen. Thanks for the wonderful and informative presentation. Before we move on to the question and answer session, I want to let you know about the next webinar, which is on which is on business process management on next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. sharp IST, and which will be taken by Mr. Chandrasekhar Padmasola, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Synergy Communications. So now we will move on to the question and answer session. The first question will be is there on your chat box, Mr. Upendra? You can answer that question.
Retaining satisfied customers. Yes, you can retain the
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Upendra. Can you read out the question first, then you can answer that.
Okay. So I feel it is not visible to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Using the Kano model lead to retaining the satisfied customers? Yeah, very much, because you have already some satisfied customers. But let me tell you, the main reason why we deploy a Kano analysis is for identifying the new markets or identifying a new product requirements, or when you know that there is a requirement and there is a gap, then you start using the Kano analysis and you define a product. So in that case, most of the times, or say in the percentages, 90% of the time, you don't find this kind of situation where you already have customers and you are working on it. Yes, but if you ask me, yeah, there is a 100% possibility you can retain the satisfied customers, and at the same time you can get more people into the satisfied pool. Thank you.
The second question is on your chat box, Upendra.
Okay. Will a Kano survey do everything I need for a VVC project? Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, you can do a Kano analysis, so if I keep the question like the Kano survey do everything I need for a VOC project, you mean to say that you want to use VOC, you want to use Kano analysis instead of VOC, or how does it mean? Okay. So you want to use Kano analysis as your VOC. It's an excellent tool. Ask me, because some time back, let me go back to my past, like 10 years back, when I was competing with the international brands for establishing my company, a manufacturing unit. I did this and I got a fantastic response by my sales, and my gross profit margins grown up very, very fast. And so I say this is a fantastic tool where you capture the VOC. And if you are doing something very new which is not there, you are building it from scratch, then obviously I suggest you go for the Kano model. Thank you.
The third question is on your chat box.
Okay, so since we have to train the Kano questionnaire, we have to first define all the functional and dysfunctional requirements, right? I don't know who has asked this question. Yes, very much, and thanks for the very right question. Yes, you have to identify, first of all, in my presentation itself I mentioned, like you not only just prepare the questionnaire, sometimes you have to modify it 2 to 3 times or maybe more than that, because my experience with my understanding, what I suggest you is you better give them the specifications in the questionnaire itself, like asking them how do you feel if your smartphone can give you 18 hours backup with a 3G activated on your phone. So that could be a better functional question than asking it will give you a 3 days backup or a 2-day backup, which is a vague question. I just don't want to confuse you during the presentation, so I just kept it aside. So as you have asked me this question, I am giving you, keep it as specific as possible, the question, so the customer can give you the right answer. So if you say, I can give you my product of a smartphone which will give you 18 hours backup, and then with the present thing that you may be getting only a 6 hours backup with a 3G. So you can clearly differentiate the things and you can start defining your specifications depending upon it. Thank you.
The fourth question is in your chat box.
Okay, so something. Oh, is it? So,
it's the first paragraph. You can start with the.
Oh, I thought it's a complete story. And
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Fine.
Can you repeat the question first?
Yes. If the customer is having a trouble articulating or actually knowing all the requirements, do you have any recommendation on how to figure out the prior to getting into? Okay. So I'm sorry, I have to read the question, right? Okay. So if the customer is having a trouble articulating or actually knowing all their requirements, do you have any recommendations on how to figure out prior to getting far into the development and then experience the scope? Yes, yeah, it's a very good question. Like when most of the time the customer do have a trouble in expressing his problem. Truly speaking, as we know that we mentioned that I never reach the customer service on time generally is the emotional statement which is being given by a customer, but actually his requirements are something else. He want to reach to the actual person and get the required answers from the exact person. But most of the time he expresses the most emotional way. The main thing, what I would like to suggest you, while designing the questionnaire, you should take a lot of precaution, because designing the questionnaire is the key for the success of the complete Kano analysis. What I suggest you is, you have to see your competitor products. You have to see what are all the gossips that are around you regarding this product or a service in the market, and you can use your internal customer surveys which were already being done, and sometimes you can read. They will give you a complete description. Some people give you the complete description. Oh, I want this kind of service like this or like this. So after taking a lot of these things and your resources, considering your resources like time and the human resource capital and so on and so forth, you can prepare a questionnaire, and I suggest you discuss it with your R&D team before taking it, and you discuss it with your operations team, and you discuss with finance team, and then you take a decision of deploying this questionnaire to the customers, because that is the key. Otherwise, you may end up in something with all the customer requirements, but your finance team comes and says, or your R&D team comes and says that this is the product is not possible, and then you may be in trouble. So, yeah, so that's how you can do or solve this problem. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Upendra. This is all the question we have for today, and I would like to thank you for taking this webinar.
Yeah.
And that's all the time we have for today's presentation. Thank you for attending the webinar. Thank you and goodbye. And if you have any questions, you can contact directly Mr. Upendra Kartik through email. If you have any question, just let me know through the email, and I will pass this question to Mr. Upendra, and he can answer your question afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. Thank you, Varun. Thanks for your excellent coordination, and thank you everyone. Thanks for your patient listening. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Upendra. Thanks all. Thank you and goodbye. Bye bye.